Well, it's another nasty, rainy, cold, lovely day. We already had about a tenth and a half or so this morning, with more coming this afternoon, and on and off throughout the morning. It's just bleh. I guess if you want to look at the upside, the one nice thing about this weather is that aside from the double crop beans, all of the spring beans that were still kind of green halfway thinking about it have now all turned yellow. So this kind of pushed them over the edge to say, okay, yeah, it's time to start drying down. And luckily, the two fields where I got wheat going are really a lot further along than what they were a few days ago now. So hopefully that might possibly speed up or expedite getting wheat in the ground if it ever does stop raining. But anyway, so I got a couple more small rain day projects. The first one is I need to get the frame on this sign whipped into some sort of shape. I need to get all these nails pulled out so that we can get the frame separated. And I bought, well, you'll see them a little bit. I bought some self-tapping pan head screws to replace these nails. Like half of them are, they're not even doing anything anymore. And I bought some angle brackets for the corners. And there's a couple joints that started separating. Like this one right here is a good example where the nails have bent over. I'm assuming from somebody trying to fix it before by just hammering it back together. So we got to get the nails pulled out of there so we can get all these joints put back the way they belong and yada yada yada. So in order to do that, I have to go find our wooden sawhorses. That way we don't scratch the surface. So let me go find them sawhorses and we'll get this thing flipped over and taken apart. Alright, it took me a minute because they weren't in the spot that I saw them last, but I found the sawhorses, laid some towels down just as some extra padding. Y'all ain't gonna believe this, but while I was outside walking around trying to find them things, it started snowing. It snowed for like 5 minutes. Legit, like full size, like wet, heavy, like snowflakes. It's not gonna be a fun fall. Unless we get lucky in the end of October, November, this stuff changes. It's going to be a wet. It's not going to be... After everything we went through this year, it's going to be par for the course, but... Alright. See if I can maneuver this thing. This is not the easiest thing to handle by yourself. Alright, my dad used to have a mini one, or a miniature Wonder Bar laying around, but I guess not. Guess I can turn you so you can see better. don't know what it's hung up on. It's not nailed through the front. Oh, there we go, maybe. Now that I got one corner out. And I'm just going to put a little right there so we know that that's the back. Huh. Used to be something taped right there. I wonder what that was. Probably something for shipping purposes, I'm guessing. Now the conundrum I'm in, which actually I'm probably not going to have a choice if I want to get that frame back in without a fight. I'm probably going to have to very gingerly dolly some of these doinks out, because that's probably what it was hung up on. I won't get too carried away and try to make it all perfectly straight, but I'll get enough of them out that it'll allow that frame to set back in without a fight. That right there's probably one of my favorite parts, is that shipping paint there that told them who it was and where it was going. So, what do we got to do here? For the most part, these two aren't that bad. It's mostly this one and that one. So, I'll see what we have in the name of hardware. Alright, it's gonna sound weird, but we've got these 7/8 roofing nails. They got a nice big head on them, obviously, because they're roofing nails. They got a bigger shank in them. So if I can get these nails out and run these right back through the same holes with the bigger head, and the bigger shank will obviously bite, and get some, probably run into town and see if Dollar General's got some wood glue. That seems like something that would be in a crafty section, so I would think they'd have some, because we don't have any here, and even if we did, it'd probably be older than dirt and hard, because we don't do much woodworking around here. Or I could run back to Grandpa and see if he's got any, because he's always doing stuff like that. But so I think that's the plan. We'll pop these two apart real quick, ever so gingerly. This outside one ain't gonna take much, it's pretty much apart out. Well, that one's already. There's that one. Alright, went back to Granddad's and he gave me some wood glue. He said this stuff is good for, I mean, it won't be full set, but he said after about 30 minutes, you're good to take the clamps off. So, which it's going to be nailed and the corners are going to be gusseted anyhow. So, but this board right here had split along the grain right here, so luckily I was able to pry it apart and laid some glue down in there and knocked it on the floor to get it to shake down and worked it a little bit, and I got the glue to go down in the joint and clamp it. So we'll let that sit for a minute, and in the meantime I'm gonna lightly buff these joints with sandpaper so that we've got a clean mating surface, and then we can glue and nail everything back together there. Alright, I got one crossbuck clamped and drying. I thought we had a bunch of wood clamps around here, but I can only find one, so vice grip clamps with some Joe blocks in order to keep from marring the wood. Just that worked just fine. Still, we're waiting on this guy to dry so that we can crack it loose there. We'll probably give that a little bit more than a half hour just because of how much tension was in that split from being, when that, I don't know what came first, if that split, well, I'm guessing those nails had to fail first, and then that probably split, and then it let this board here twist, which didn't help the split any, or it twisted and split. Either way, doesn't matter, we're fixing it now. It's just a sign, nobody cares about it as much as the tractor. So, but now I'm going to dolly out some of these so that we can get that frame in without a fight. Alright, everything's all clamped in and glued. Obviously nothing's fastened yet because clamps are in the way. I want to give this a few hours of drying time, so we're going to go over to my house and work on the other project that I wanted to do today, and then we'll come back later this afternoon and finish putting this back together. Okay, so the other little project I had going today that I wanted to get done is putting a temporary BandAid, well, a temporary permanent BandAid on the front of this barn floor here by the door, because this spot right here, I'm pretty sure if I jumped hard enough I could probably break that hole out. So last night we had to go to Lowe's anyhow to get some stuff for a project Shelly's doing. So I got some 3/4 inch treated plywood. 3 sheets should get all the way across, and I might have to make some spacers to cover a small gap on either side, but it'll be close. I really wish the entire floor was as good as it is in the back, because the back is, well, basically from that right there, I think is critter damage, but basically from here forward, the floor is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just from here, or sorry, from here back, but from here forward, it's doing this crap. Which some of it is rot, some of it I think was critter damage, because I think at some point they were keeping livestock in here for some reason, because there's holes, you know, that plywood there, there's holes literally chewed in the floor, and it's not termite damage. It's like, I think they had goats over there or something. But anyway, so we got that treated plywood. My God, if robbing banks anymore is not a lucrative business, if you want to make some money, you need to start knocking over truckloads of plywood. That was basically 48 bucks a sheet. That made me choke a little bit, but anyhow, first things first, I'm gonna get the straw brushed off of here, and then I got to get a screw gun, because all this stuff that I put in here is all screwed down. And then we'll pull up. I'm going to go back a full 8 feet, which came basically to an even joint. So I got to figure out how far back we got to go, because most of these boards are just sitting here other than the ones I screwed down. So let's pull them up, and I might cut the rod off of some, or cut the damage off of some of them and keep parts of them, and the rest of them probably just going to go away because they're damaging enough. They're not really worth keeping. Alright, I got it down to where I need to be. I might have to trim just a hair off of those, because it's like 7 feet, almost, not quite 8 feet to that line. So, but man, that is some beautiful lumber. In that whole square, there is only 1, 2, 3, that's a little baby knot, 4, there's a small baby one there, 5, like 5, 6 knots, and 3 of them are, you know, yay big. Can you imagine trying to find that in some lumber now? And it's all milled straight, and all of our improved technology and modern world and blah 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 blah, all that bullshit, and we can't do the simple stuff that we used to be able to do spectacularly. Of course, half the problem is all that old growth timber's gone because of mismanagement of forests, but you'll have that on them big jobs. But anyway, this first board right here is broke, but I did pull up, where's my tape measure? I pulled up 2 good ones, and I think that one right there is perfect. That will fit, because this one's 6.5, right? Not quite 6. The 7 would work better, but that needs to go. This whole floor really needs replaced, but that's going to be easier said than done, because that project is going to turn into a project. Because this whole front wall in this barn needs replaced, the foundation. And at some point in its life, the sill beam across the front must have rotted out, and so the original sill beam in the front stops right here. It's all concrete to there, and then it starts again back in here somewhere, and actually layered some concrete over top of it for some reason. But when that front foundation started to fail, I'm guessing, okay, where was I? So when that front wall started to fail, I'm guessing at about the same time, the floor joist started to rot, and actually this one's sistered together, that one's sistered, I think that one's sistered, which all of this is caused because of that, because that front gutter needs fixed. But before you can fix the gutter, I gotta replace the fascia board across the front of the barn, because that's why that center gutter's hanging, is because the fascia board rotted and there's nothing to fasten it to anymore. But to fix the wall, they basically came in and must have formed in front of it and poured like, well, that much concrete in front of the stone, and set the floor joist on that concrete, and basically just band-aided the wall. So what needs to happen is this entire center bay needs jacked up, the foundation needs dug all the way across the front, and I don't know exactly, almost need to talk to an Amish outfit or somebody that knows about these barns and get the best way to do it. Because you probably have to replace, obviously you're going to have to replace the wall in sections. And a poured wall would be better than a block wall, so if I could pour it, would be even better. But pour a new wall, fix the front sill beam, and set the barn back down, and then all the floor joists, because the floor joists in this barn are split, the main beam down the center, they're split on either side of that, so you got the front half and back half, which makes life a little easier. But replace all the floor joists in this center bay to get rid of all this rot in the front, and then you can fix the floor. So that's why we're going the plywood route for now, because you're talking a major, like, to do that, that's not going to be something where I could do like in the basement where I could work on it when I had. You're talking, you're going to have to dedicate yourself to that project for a month or a month and a half, or however long it takes. That's going to be every waking moment, is when you got a chance to work on that, you work on that. Because it's not something that you're going to be able to start, work on for a day, leave for a week, come back, work on it for a couple days. That's got to be something that once you start it, you're on it till it's done. And it's going to be quite the project. but they fixed it good enough that it will last for a little while longer anyhow. And the main thing I need to get done, which is going to be on the project list for next summer, is to take that gutter off, get that fascia board fixed, and get the gutter fixed so that the water will quit doing this. And it obviously needs new doors because the doors rotted off up to here, and this is original door, and this is just nasty ass painted lumber, and I want to put new doors on it. And when I put new doors on it, there's going to be a rubber flap on the bottom that folds out so that nothing can get inside underneath the door, kind of like what I did when we put that door down there. I'd put a roll-up door in it, but I just don't like the way roll-up doors look in old barns like this. They just don't look right. So anyhow, we're gonna get this board popped up right here and put that 7-incher in its place, and then we can lay plywood down and it'll be good. All right, this is just laying there. 3 sheets fits between the main beams perfect. It honestly would be nice if they were just a touch wider, that way you could notch it and get, because right now technically you're not over one of the wide beams for the floor, but for the weight we're carrying, that's fine. And actually what I might do, because right here, I don't know why they cut their crossboards so short, but that layer of boards underneath here is overlapping the main beam on this side, but they're not, at least up to like back up in here, they are not overlapping on this side. And then they put this little, which actually, oh, that's just sitting there by gravity. I guess that doesn't really even need to be there. I might actually notch this one. And sneak it out. A couple inches, so that it's laying out over top of this beam. And I might do the same thing over here. And is this, that is 3/4 plywood, I do believe. Yeah, that is 3/4 plywood. So if I notch this one and snuck it out, notch this one and snuck it out, and then just had this one here hug whichever side, and then I could cut some small, I could rip some slivers out of this to fill in the gap in the center. It wouldn't be treated, but it would be, I can't remember, because those are scraps from putting the loft in back there in that back corner. I can't remember, I don't think that's treated. I'm pretty sure it's not. But anyway, that will work, and then that will actually get us out over the beams and take the sponge out of this side of the floor. Okay, I'm gonna feel like Norm from New Yankee Workshop saying this. So I went in on my radial arm saw and ripped a 2-inch wide board here to use as a spacer, because obviously these are gonna be technically, I mean, they're bowed a little bit because they're not overlapping, but they would be up here at this level. So we needed this spacer to set the plywood on so that it's up at the level where these are sitting on the beams over here. So I made that. I'm gonna run a couple screws in it so that it can't move around. And then that board's not, or that plywood's notched. We could slide that in there. And yeah. Have to clip that corner just a wee bit to clear the concrete, but other than that, it fits. All right, there's that. I gotta screw it down real quick, but this is the finished product. It's a lot nicer to walk on. It's not nearly as, I mean, it's actually stable, which is completely the opposite of what it used to feel like. So get these screwed down real quick, and then this project will be done, other than cleaning up the mess. Got some sort of military helicopters flying over, 2 of them right there. Don't know if you can see them or not. Looks like Black Hawks. Yeah, you can see them. At least I'm guessing they're Black Hawks, because you wouldn't normally see anything civilian flying in formation like that. But we're all screwed down, mess is cleaned up, everything's put away. I just gotta back the tractors back in, so we will be back over, or head back over and see if I can't get that sign put back together yet this afternoon. Alright, I haven't popped any clamps yet, but I do think I'm gonna change my plan. Because of how warped this board was, I don't know if I'll be able to put nails in it and have them successfully hold without the board trying to retwist. I mean, ideally it shouldn't, because there's going to be a steel gusset on the back side of this corner, which should hold it, but I'd still rather not risk it. And I looked at Lowe's yesterday while we were there, and I could not find any wood screws that started there that were less than 1 inch long. Everything started at 1 1/4 inches. I mean, obviously you can get shorter than that, but you were into like self-tappers and crap like that that aren't good for wood. So, as much as I kind of don't want to, I think what I'm just going to do is run these wood screws through it, and whatever sticks out the end, take the grinder and clip them off and just let it lay, because I don't think nails are going to do the trick no matter what kind I end up using. So that's my plan. I guess I should specify. I could find wood screws like that, those fine thread, you know, like that. But in my experience, those things tend to pull out a whole lot easier than the heavier coarse thread, you know, bigger shank. Which is kind of what I'm trying to avoid. Alright, I'm ready to add my corner gussets. You can definitely tell this thing wasn't made in no furniture factory, and they really didn't care about fit and finish, because I don't think they got their, I think this is, I don't know my woodworking terminology, I think this is a dado, when you notch it out to overlap. They didn't get them deep enough, and the boards don't overlap flush, so there's a little bit of a step, but we can work around that. But they want you to pre-drill the holes, so put one screw in to hold it. Alright. Is it original? No, but should it greatly improve the longevity of the frame? Yes, so I think it's worth it. I mean, in the end, like I say, I'm no sign collector guy. I don't know the market, but I would think that people would be a lot more concerned about the graphics on the tin than they would about the originality of the frame, so I don't think I'm hurting the value of the sign none. Well, it certainly ain't moving anymore. It's solid as a rock, so hopefully it's good for another 40 years. Alrighty, now we get our little screws, and these I'm putting in with a drill, just so nothing bad happens with the impact. See if I can get you kind of out there. Going in through the original nail holes, so nothing bad is happening there. I do think if I take that frame is slightly, ever so slightly smaller than the sign itself, so if we take these, them screws might have a little easier time biting. I almost wish now I'd have gotten some that were a little longer. Now, you get a situation like this where they damn near just miss the tin altogether. So as much as I don't want to, I think I'm just going to punch a new hole right here so that we can get into some good meat. This is where you run into a dilemma of what do you do? Do you make it more stable so that you don't got to worry about it, or do you just put it back the way it was? I guess it'll have a little bit of meat to work with there, so we'll just is what it is. All right, let's see how we did. It's definitely a lot sturdier. It's a lot sturdier. So there we go. Now it's got to get it up on the barn wall, which probably damn near gonna need to, at least gonna need 2 people, possibly 3, and probably gonna need the loader tractor to make it safe. So but that should make it plenty stable enough for what I want to do with it. So I guess I can go ahead and throw that back in the truck, and it can go back over to my house. And I'm going to call it a night. So that's it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.